my name is Izzy and I live with HS or hidradenitis suppurativa. Now I know a lot of people don't know what this is, not even a lot of doctors know what this is. It is a pain in the ass. Sorry, not sorry for the brutal honesty. Google defines HS as a chronic skin condition featuring lumps in places such as the underarms and groin. Now that's kind of misleading. It's not just lumps, they're cysts, so they hurt a lot. Definitely don't agree with that definition, so they need to update that. That'd be appreciated. There are over 200,000 cases in the US per year, which isn't enough. Half of these people probably don't even know what they are or what they have. Some people are misdiagnosed. Like my mom, they told her she had herpes and she thought that for the longest time, and it was really just HS, and it's not contagious at all. It's just terrible and unfortunate. It also happens in other places besides your underarm and your groin. I get them along the underline of my breast. You can get them pretty much in any crease of your body. That's how it is. It's any crease. It does take a while to be labeled per se. It took me a while. I started developing these cysts really bad my freshman year of high school. I was going to Palm Bay High. I was a cheerleader. I was doing all these amazing things. And one day I spent the night at my friend's house and her mom thought it was an ingrown hair. And the next day I had like a softball, like the size of a softball lump in my underarm, and I was freaking out. I came home, went to my mom, we went to the ER that night, and next thing you know, I'm being held down by this big guy, and this nurse is trying to cut me open to drain it, which not a great first time experience. Don't recommend it. But yeah, so they didn't say anything. They just took samples, went to the lab. That was pretty much it. I didn't get another one for a long time. I ended up getting another one on my tailbone, which they say is, they don't relate. They say it's not correlated. They say pilonidal cysts or cysts on your tailbone are not related to HS. That was my first pilonidal cyst. Not fun. At the time I was a dancer my senior year, and that was, yeah, unfortunate, honestly. But of course, in between I'd have a million of these little cysts, and they pop up. Sometimes they look like a bruise, sometimes it looks like a mosquito bite or like a really bad welt, like you got punched. And you can pop it yourself. Mine, they stay deep under the skin for no reason, and I have to get every single one of mine cut out. I've never had one pop on its own. Like, I don't know. Well, thank God, because I would freak out, honestly, because I wouldn't want to deal with that by myself. That's scary. So after high school, it got worse. Like, the year 2018 was horrendous for me, honestly. February, like the first 2 weeks of February, I developed a major pilonidal cyst. It was terrible. I couldn't sit down. I couldn't lay on my sides. I couldn't do anything. Couldn't sit, stand, walk. I developed an infection, which made me super sick. I ended up in the hospital for a week with MRSA, and that's where I met my best friend. He's my surgeon, Mr. John Oland. Love this man to death. He works with Omni. Great place, great surgeon. Recommend him to anybody. I met him. He took care of it that night. Boom, boom, boom. In the hospital for about a week on really strong antibiotics. Totally killed my system. And yeah, that was a terrible experience. Wouldn't wish that on anybody. Honestly, it was crazy, insane. And after that, like later in that month, February. We're still in February, by the way, guys. I developed another cyst. Now, I want to say I developed this because when you have MRSA and you're on super strong antibiotics, it kills your immune system. So once you leave the hospital in this controlled environment, you go home to all of these new germs, bacteria, and it sets anything off, and no immune system, you can't fight it. So I developed a huge cyst in my left armpit. Now, this was probably one of the scariest I've ever had, besides my first, which was massive. This one went all the way across my armpit, like that line that you, like that crease, that's exactly where it was. It was deep and it hurt so much, like to the point I would lose feeling in my fingertips, like it was messing with my nerves. It was that big. So after we took out the last round of stitches in my tail, or my butt area from my tailbone surgery, makes great jokes, by the way. I came back to my surgeon and I was like, hey, new project, of course, you're welcome. I just probably bought you a house or a new car, of course. But so yeah, so I showed him my underarm. He wanted to do the antibiotics theory, or just go through that round first, right? To eliminate what we can do and if surgery really is our last option. So of course I did the Bactrim, clindamycin, doxycycline, pretty much you name it, I've been on it. I have a super long list of every medication I've been on, and it's very impressive from my pharmacist. They love me, by the way. So we did the long-term Bactrim. I was doing that for a couple of weeks and it kept getting bigger, and it was really scary, and I was nervous. I was gonna get MRSA again or anything. So I told him, I was like, we need to cut this out. My grandmother, Mia, because she doesn't like being called grandma. I mean, it's cute, Mia. So she took me to my surgery that day. It was really fast. It was, I want to say about half hour, maybe an hour, just a lot of stuff. And they got it all out. They didn't do stitches to close my armpit. They used the skin glue, and they just wrapped it up with some gauze, taped it up. I was sent home with more antibiotics, of course. And I remember this day vividly because it was really scary. I woke up, my mom came into my room because she was getting ready for work and she needed to borrow something from my room. So she asked where something was, and I went to get up and point to where it was. Well, when I lifted my arm up, and this was after I already went to the doctor. Like, I went to Olin for my 1-week checkup and he said everything was great, everything was closed, poked on it a lot, like nothing looked suspicious. It was great. And of course, that's my luck. So my mom comes in, she's asking where something is, and I go to point to it, and next thing you know, like, crap is just like pouring out of my armpit. Like, it was terrible, scary, frustrating. It was definitely something I wouldn't have imagined happening that day. But it was just infection pouring down the side of me. It was not stopping. I grabbed as much gauze as I could and I drove myself to my surgeon's office that second, which was super early in the morning, and he wasn't even there yet. But his nurses and staff were, so I was very grateful for them. So I ran in, I explained my situation, they wanted to look at it. It's still, at this time, pouring. Now it's been about a half hour, almost an hour since I woke up and noticed this. So I was freaking out, they were freaking out. They gave me some more gauze pads and they told me to go to the hospital which he was working at that day because he didn't work in the office on certain days. So I went to the Wusthof emergency room and I was like, hey, I need to see my surgeon. And of course they're looking at me like, stupid little girl, that's not how a hospital works. You don't just get to come in and request your surgeon or whatever it is. And I'm like, well, that's how it's gonna work for now. So we called my surgeon. He was already in a surgery that morning and somebody else had to come in, which was cool because I knew this doctor. She was actually one of my doctors on my case when I had my pilonidal cyst. She took care of it after it got repacked because it was really bad. It needed to be repacked. So she came in, they packed up my underarm, they gave me a shot in my butt, which burned really bad, but it was definitely necessary. It was just to keep me safe from infections, things like that. And then they sent me home with another script of antibiotics, and that was it. And ever since then, I haven't, like, my armpit hasn't shut. Like, I currently have a hole in my armpit, and that's very annoying. From February to currently to now, to 2019, hello. I see my surgeon almost twice a week, once a week, depends on the day, you know, whatever. And we do what's called silver nitrate treatments, which is pretty much where they burn off certain types of skin that prevent wounds from closing, which burns. It's like a chemical burn. It's the worst thing ever, and you don't get numbing, you just suck it up and deal with it. But it is very quick. So we do that to try and close it. I also went to Jacksonville's Mayo Clinic. I went to see one of their surgeons, like, it was a plastic surgeon, and he pretty much told me he couldn't help me, that there was nothing he could do, there was no options for me. And I was like, actually, he said that he wants to let it close on its own. Don't mess with it, just let nature take its course. That's not the answer I wanted, to be honest. So I went ahead and got a referral to a wound care, right? That's my next step. And they just wanted to pack it some more with some special antibiotic gauze. No, we don't want to pack it because packing, okay, not a lot of people know this, and I need to break it down some more. So the term packing, you have a wound and they pretty much take this almost like a fabric, it's a material that they pack in there. They literally stuff you like a teddy bear, and a little bit hangs out of the hole so that any infection or anything can drain out of it. Okay, that's great, but my armpit doesn't have any infection in it right now, thank God, knock on wood. But so that's technically what it's for. So why would you pack an open wound that we're trying to close that keeps it open? You know, it's aggravating. So from there, I stopped seeing wound care because I was going crazy. And now I'm currently just doing things on my own pretty much. I wrap it up in fancy gauze, which I'll show you guys. This is what I use. I'll show you a better picture of it in a minute, but it has some kind of medicine on it. It's great stuff. It's individually wrapped. It looks like this. It's very sterile, sanitary, love it. Don't like using any other gauze because your fingers carry so many germs, and it's ridiculous, honestly, how many germs. So that's where I'm at. Now I'm very thankful. I just have the hole to deal with right now. That wasn't the case a couple weeks ago. I did have another one in this armpit. I had one in my groin area, one under my breast. That was probably the most flare-ups I've had at once, and it was scaring me how much it was happening. And that's the thing with HS. You don't know when it's gonna happen. It just pops up. You can wake up with one. Sometimes you can feel one coming on, but mine like to surprise me. And you can't have multiple at one time. Obviously not fun at all. Dealing with HS and then managing with all of these side effects and all these pills and what you can and can't take together, and this, it's a long struggle. And for anybody who does suffer with HS, you understand what's going on. So about the chronic pain issue, it sucks. You're constantly tired. All you want to do is just lay in bed, sometimes cry, sometimes just sleep the day away. It's not depression, it's not being lazy, it's just pain. And I know I can avoid all of this if I just take the big name painkillers, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to give in, and end up with another issue that I don't need. So I'm always tired, and a lot of people don't get that, and it's very frustrating, like, to deal with something and your friends not understand, like, why don't you come out on a Friday night? Like, you're 20 years old and you stay home all weekend. Well, because I have to, because I want to. I just don't have the energy to stay out all night or party or whatever. It's not my thing. Anyways, so yeah, pain sucks. Don't judge your friends. Also, I don't know, HS just comes with a lot of baggage, and being 20 and dealing with all of this is frustrating because it limits your life. Some days I can't even wash my own hair without wanting to cry. I can't get the stuff off the top shelf because I can't raise my arms up above my head. So I have to call my brother or call somebody to help me, and then they laugh like it's funny, and I'm like, no, it's not that funny, honestly. It's aggravating. I would rather be able to be independent and do things on my own, but you just can't, and that's frustrating. And so along with the meds and my routine, it's like a full-time job. So I don't work right now because of this. All the doctor's appointments that I go do and things like that, on top of all of my other issues, which I can do a video updating like everything else that I have. Like, I do suffer from anemia. I do have some kind of sleeping issue. I don't want to say it's insomnia because I can fall asleep. I just can't stay asleep, and it's ridiculous. I also suffer from sleep apnea, so I do snore, so that's probably a reason why I can't stay asleep, and I'm always tired, along with so many other things, like shingles. You get that after chicken pox, and I know it's crazy to believe that a 20-year-old can have shingles. You usually hear about that when you're 60. Trust me, I know. I can do a video about shingles too, talking about how and when I found out and how I knew it was shingles and everything like that, because that's just a long story too. But yeah, just that was HS in a nutshell. It sucks. You're lumpy, you're holy, and it's really fun to joke about. Honestly, like I love joking about HS. Like, my family, we like to joke around about how I'm holy and blah blah blah. It makes good jokes. It's better to laugh at it than sit and feel sorry for yourself all day. Like, yeah. So pretty much in conclusion, this is my first vlog, and I just want to show you guys my daily life of living with HS. I can also show you guys how I wrap up my underarm, my skincare routine, how I shower and things like that. Any other questions you can leave down in this comments below. Any other questions, you can follow my social media because I also post it there, like when I go to new doctor's offices and things like that. I review them because I go to a lot of people. What else? Yeah, that's about it. So thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Just kidding. Funny stuff. Ha. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.